Hi, I'm Ross, Lifetime Natural Bodybuilder. Hope you're all doing well. In this short video, I'm going to be comparing upper lower with push pull, both very popular programs. I recently did a poll on this in the community section, and the upper lower program came out on top by some margin indeed. I've created an interactive Excel dashboard to help me really analyse the two programs and show that comparison to you guys. So if you enjoyed the video, then please give it a like, subscribe to see more, and let me know what your thoughts are on the two programs in the comment section below. So they're both very simple workouts, traditionally 4 times a week. You can also run them as 6 times a week with a little bit more frequency, but traditionally it's 4 times with 2 sessions designated to each workout. So we'll start with the upper lower and just run through a couple of positives. One big positive is it provides partial rest for the shoulders, with the exception of squats. Obviously still tension on either back squat or front squat. And it gives plenty of time and focus for the more debilitating lower body movements, such as a squat or stiff leg deadlift, hack squats, leg press. Very, very difficult exercises that require a lot of energy, a lot of mental focus to be able to perform properly. Sometimes it can be a little bit awkward going from your upper body movement to a lower body movement and then back in to an upper body movement when you're already blasted from that debilitating lower body exercise. So with a push-pull, it incorporates lower body movements into each day. So your quads on your push day, hamstrings on your pull day. You've got to be really careful with the scheduling, because let's say on your pull day here, my pull day on the push-pull is hamstring curls, but then the following day on the push workout, I'm performing leg press. Obviously leg press uses both quads and hamstrings. So for the lower body compound movements, it's more difficult to isolate either quads or hamstrings. There's a lot of carryover on most of those exercises, so there's going to be some debilitating effect from those curls into the leg press, where with upper lower traditionally you wouldn't really get that. Obviously you've got a day off or more than one day off between those lower body sessions. So push-pull can be a little bit awkward as well, warming up for both upper and lower body movements in the same session. It can be quite time consuming, having to warm up for your bench. It's a niggly exercise for some. It requires proper mobility work and lots of warm-up sets in my case anyway. And then going into a squat, which also requires the same kind of level of warming up, if not more. So it can be a little bit frustrating doing all that warming up for all those separate movements in one session. So this next point I'm going to make is probably the most important of the video, and that's in its traditional format. Upper lower is very lower body orientated, especially quad dominant. Most lower body exercises are going to involve the quads, like most lower body compound movements are going to involve the quads. There's infinitely more quad movements and hamstring only movements. So you'll find that if you keep the program balanced in terms of upper versus lower, not only will the lower body work be a lot more than the upper body work over the course of a week, but the quad work in particular will be very high. So let's use this as an example, the upper lower here, 1 set to failure for each exercise, 6 exercises per day, both upper and lower across the week. So that's 12 sets for lower, 12 sets for upper. But you can see here in the actual graph that you've got so many more sets designated to quads and a lot of the upper body work here, because it's obviously there's more body parts being spread out over that upper body session that they're going to suffer, henceforth why they're in the red there on that chart. And this is seen further in the comparison between the two programs, push-pull versus upper-lower. Quads come way out on top there for the upper-lower compared to the push-pull. Generally, push-pull is a little bit more balanced in terms of the overall work done. So if we change the sets done per week, or per exercise rather, to 3, the disparity becomes even more obvious between the quad dominant exercises and upper body exercises. So it's really something you need to pay attention to. And if you're following upper lower and you don't want to prioritize legs and quads in particular, then you're going to have to do something in terms of manipulating that program rather than going for this balanced approach that you'd see here. And that's a little bit difficult to do because of the nature of the program. It's easier to manipulate volume with push-pull. For example, if I want to focus a little bit more on, let's say calves, for example, calves are in the red here on push-pull.
let's take it up to 5 sets, which increases the time of the session. This is the time of the session. I'll create a formula here which shows the rough time it will take to complete this session, so 100 minutes. Okay, well, let's take a set away from the bench press. So we'll just do 2 there. Brings the time back down because you're training multiple body parts over the course of that session. It's more easy to juggle the volume. Whereas let's say you want to do that for upper lower, you want to add a little bit more shoulder work and we want to do less quad work. Okay, so add more shoulder work. Okay, let's take the dumbbell laterals up to 6 sets. Okay, so added a few more upper body sets. Let's change the chart here so it's no longer in the red. But that session length goes up to 103 minutes. So you're always adding time. If you want more volume on an upper lower body program for upper body, your sessions are only going to get longer and longer, whereas you can juggle it a little bit better with a push-pull. And if you want to take volume away for leg training, then your sessions are only going to get shorter. So you're going to be left with one long session and one short session. It doesn't really make sense. It's not really that optimal in my opinion. So let's say we want to further increase upper body work and get it more in line with the volume that you're going to be doing on lower body and quads in particular. So we can increase the bench press sets here to 5, bent row sets to 5. Let's add 5 sets to the behind the neck press, 5 sets on the chins. We'll do 5 sets on the pullovers, for example. So this session length increases. It's now up to 115, nearly 2 hours long. Whereas the leg sessions are going to be shorter and still the volume is not equated to quads. So we can swap out some of the hamstring work with quad work for sure. Let's take away a set on the squats, add a bit on the hamstrings, add a bit more on the stiff leg deadlifts here, take away the safety squats to 2 sets. And it's becoming a little bit more balanced, but it's still massively in favour of lower body work, given that the time spent on each session is non-equal. So yeah, overall it just becomes harder to kind of juggle volume for upper body versus lower body without that session length increasing to ridiculous lengths of time, and it's easier to do with push-pull. So yeah, to compensate, you could do perhaps an extra upper body day on a upper lower split. So you could do upper lower upper lower upper. That's viable. Or you could maybe do upper lower arm work, and predominantly the 2 upper days will be focused mostly on chest, shoulders and back. That would also work. But as it stands in its traditional sense, it's going to be very lower body dominant. It's something you should bear in mind, and it's kind of surprising that so many people voted for upper lower. Bearing in mind that most people generally tend not to want to focus predominantly on lower body. It could well be the case that the people that voted on my poll do want to focus on lower, and that's great. But it's just something to bear in mind that not everyone tends to think about when it comes to upper lower. So for me, I think both programs are really, really good. They're both fun. I enjoy them very thoroughly. But I would say push-pull gets the nudge for me, just because it's easier to kind of juggle that volume between upper and lower body. But they can both work. I've done both and I've seen tremendous gains with both routines. Predominantly lower body gains when it comes to the upper-lower routine though. So thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, then please give it a thumbs up and let me know your thoughts on upper-lower or push-pull. What do you think? Don't forget to check out my website as well if you're interested in coaching exclusively for natural lifters. And fill out a form and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thanks again. Stay strong.